Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Ringside Report MMA. Tonight on the show, we're previewing UFC Vegas. Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. We're talking fallout from UFC 285. And Floyd Mayweather sends Jake Paul running. Let's play the thing.
Let's go!
Played the thing. Now let's get the guys. There we go. We got the guys. Oh,
what's
AJ.
up, Chachi?
Hey, AJ, what's happening?
What's happening, man?
You all right?
I've been quiet this week, man. Can you hear
What's the
me?
matter? Yeah?
I've been a very quiet bird this week, man.
Okay. Why?
You know why, man. I see you setting me up, man. I see you setting me up, mofo.
I don't know.
That's okay, man.
Fred, I really did not know what he was talking about. But now I am starting to understand.
Yeah.
Because, of course, we all saw what happened on Saturday night. Jon Jones dominating Cyril Gane, taking him 2 minutes to finish one of the best heavyweights in the world. Guillotine choke in the very first round. Man. And AJ was very high on Cyril Gane. And Fred and I tried to tell him, Jon Jones is the best ever. You might want to you might want to be a little worried here.
I'm going to give Cyril props, man. He did give him a good shot to the balls.
Go ahead, Freddie. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, he was dangerous for that, man.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't see much danger from Cyril, but
listen, man, I'm going to tell you something. All week I stayed like under the radar. I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do because I know David's going to set me up and he's going to be like just dissecting me. It was a crazy night. We had a great watch along, man. It was fantastic. I mean, I didn't know what to say. I went like quiet and I was like, what the hell, man? But the only thing that bothers me about that whole fight, listen, I'm going to tell you something. I got to give it to Jon Jones. But it wasn't a fight.
But what?
It wasn't a fight. I think the best part. Sorry, AJ. Listen, I got to throw a plug in here. I think the best part about our watch-alongs that we do for every UFC pay-per-view is that we get to hear AJ build and build for weeks and weeks and weeks leading up to the fight. And then when we get to it, we get to see AJ's live reaction, and it is recorded forever. We will always have AJ's reaction to his man, Cyril Gane, getting defeated by his most hated fighter, Jon Jones. It was fantastic, and you really missed something if you missed the watch-along on Saturday night. Because you get to see AJ's live reaction to these things, and that was great for me.
Surprised you didn't pull it up or something. I was like, David's gonna pull out like a.
I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to do that to you, AJ. Dude, I know you're feeling the pain.
Nah, you could, but I'm okay, man. It's all about the ratings in the end. Because I'm going to tell you something. There was no better expression than seeing Cyril Gane when he was sitting on the floor looking at Jon Jones walking away. Did you see that? It was like a deer in headlights. He was like, Tabarnouche, qu'est-ce que ça arrivait? C'est pas possible. C'est quoi le premier round?
People talk.
But it was close enough.
That's not how
but I'm going to tell you
something. Talk.
Well, it was close enough, Freddie. It doesn't matter. It was like a deer in headlights. And I'm going to tell you something. I was looking forward to a fight. I don't think you'd be saying
tabarnouche, right? I don't think they're saying that. Putain.
Well, you'll be saying merde.
Putain,
you know, but it's the same bullshit.
Sacré bleu. Do they really? Do they say sacré bleu? I don't think they say that.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's France, man. You never seen the Pink Panther, Dave?
Sacré bleu. Where is me ma?
Listen, man, it was, to me, it was building up so much. I said it about a year ago. I said, you know, it would be great for Jones to fight Cyril Gane because they seem very similar in style in some sense. You know, I built up this fight. I was prepared for this fight. I wanted to go see this fight as a dogfight. I wanted to see 5 rounds of action and to walk away and say, man, this was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. And you know what? It was Jones's best fight coming back from 3 years, and it was Cyril's worst fight in the last 3 years. Hands down. It wasn't a great performance by Cyril Gane because he didn't have a chance to have a performance. But what I'm going to say is that Jon Jones did exactly what he needed to do. He saw Cyril throwing that left, ducked under, took him down, and then one thing with Jon Jones, which I got to give him credit for, is once he sees that opening, he will close it right away. He's not going to want to turn this into a fight for the fans. He's going to want to turn it into a fight for himself. He saw the top pressure. He put the pressure down on that guillotine. And when people don't realize is that there's so much pressure on this guy's head that if he doesn't tap, and it was war, he's dead. There's nowhere he can run. He had his back up against the octagon. He had full weight of Jon Jones on his neck. No matter how big Cyril Gane was, he could not escape out of that. He had a few opportunities prior to that to escape, but Jon Jones saw that and closed it. He didn't want to give a fight. He just wanted that win. I wanted to see a fight. I just think that Cyril Gane, you know, if he had the opportunity to open up more, it would have been a dog
And I know what you're saying, like they didn't fight for 5 rounds. We really didn't see much. I don't think Jon Jones got hit with a punch, but isn't that the point? Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I want to say, like, it's like as a teenage boy sometimes, you know, things get a little premature. I wanted to see the whole enchilada, dude. I wanted to see a dog fight. I wanted to see, like, crazy,
That's the perfect fight from Jon Jones.
Yep.
I mean, not for the fans.
It's the perfect
Maybe
fight.
For the Jon Jones lovers, man. But
it's the best performance of his career, man. This guy's been so dominating, and he still figures a way to be, like, even more. Like, what he did this weekend was his most dominant performance.
Yeah, and this was great for the fans because the fans went crazy. The fans saw something that they couldn't believe. They couldn't fathom. They didn't understand what was happening in front of their eyes. If you've seen Jon Jones, you know how great he is, but his past few fights at light heavyweight 3 years ago when he was a light heavyweight champion, you know, he had a couple fights there at the end of his light heavyweight run where he looked kind of flat. He didn't look like the same dominant champion. He was going 5 rounds with guys that you would think earlier on in his career he would finish. But Jon Jones came out in this fight sharp, dominant, destructive.
It's just, you know what was rough for me, Dave, is that, okay, the watch along was rough, but you know, it was so built up. I'm telling you, I wanted to see more than 2 minutes because all the fights prior to the Jon Jones Cyril Gane were really, really good, and they were exciting. It was a fun night of fights, you know. And the Jon Jones came out; he won in a spectacular fashion, no doubt about it. But it wasn't enough for me to say, you know, it was a fight. And a lot of people that have approached me over the last week, it's been the same thing over and over, man. Man, Cyril Gane is like, it sucks that he didn't have a chance to really fight it. It's like, you know, a lot of Cyril Gane fans out there, which I was kind of surprised, but. You know what? Jon Jones shut my mouth. I can't say anything more. He shut my mouth. But I'd like to see this fight happen again. And that was another thing that was brought up. Are they ever going to fight again? I said, yeah.
Again. It'll be the same result. It'll be the same result.
I think,
and I think there's one thing we didn't mention is last week is Cyril Gane started MMA at 27, I think they say. That is late, man. And he's a great athlete and he's able to knock out people and all that. But when it comes to grappling, man, starting at 27, it's late, man, especially if you're going to fight a guy like Jon Jones. So I think Jon Jones, as soon as he got him to the ground, I knew it was going to be over. Like he wasn't going to get up. And Jon Jones just showed like his grappling was completely like way superior. And I think even his striking would have been superior because Cyril was dancing a lot, but he never seemed like to take his spot to try to attack. He was dancing around, trying to get away.
But Freddie, it's 2 minutes,
he was scared
man.
to engage. I don't know, man.
But think about it. It's 2 minutes.
If Cyril wins 2-3 fights in a row, yeah, he could get a rematch. But by then, maybe Jon Jones will just be retired or whatever.
Yeah.
Like right now, Stipe's the next one. That makes a lot of sense, man. Although Stipe has been off for a very long time also. And his last fight, he got knocked out very badly. So who knows how Stipe shows up, you know? And he's getting older also. But that's the fight that makes sense. And after that, I don't know. We'll see, man. Maybe Pavlovich will be in contention or somebody else. But for now, it's Stipe. So
I think he retires.
The one that makes sense.
I think he retires after Stipe. I don't think, you know, Jon Jones needs to do much. I think he could stick around and fight these other contenders at heavyweight like the next guy. But I don't think he's about doing that anymore. He did that for so long at light heavyweight.
I mean, and if AJ, he's getting $10 million a fight or whatever.
Yeah, I guess maybe, but I don't think it'll be worth it for him. I think they're going to have to find a real big name for him to fight. If he fights anybody past Stipe, it'll be Francis Ngannou if they could get him, but Dana White seems pretty down on that idea. And AJ, you keep talking about this 2 minutes thing, like, oh, it was only 2 minutes. That's how long it took him to beat him. That's all it took. Like you're saying, like, oh, Jon Jones, Cyril didn't get to show much in the fight because it was only 2 minutes. Jon Jones was able to beat him in 2 minutes. Cyril didn't have much to offer for him. That's Cyril's fault for not offering more and not being able to fight more than 2 minutes. That's how easy the fight was for Jon Jones, who offered no defense, right? Cyril Gane offered no wrestling defense, offered no submission defense, had rudimentary skills up against the cage and in that position. And again, you look at what he had problems with in the Francis Ngannou fight that was exposed with the wrestling game. It was further exposed and exposed even worse in this fight. Cyril Gane is one of the best heavyweights in the world. Nobody is beating this guy. Top contender after top contender have fallen to Cyril Gane, except Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. And how did they beat Cyril Gane? They out-wrestled him. Jon Jones just obliterated him in the wrestling and jiu-jitsu game, completely out-grappled him. And how did Cyril answer the glaring issues that he had with Francis Ngannou? He didn't. And we saw that in the Jon Jones fight. He didn't address the main problem with his game, which was grappling. The guy is not a grappler, has no grappling skills, and staying in France, I hate to say this because I have a lot of respect for France and the martial arts scene out there, but there's been zero Olympic world champion French wrestlers, as far as I know. I don't know. You look at the main wrestling, you know what I mean? The top grapplers in the world are not from France or not living in France. Some of the top kickboxers in the world are from France, and they have a scene there, and they have good sparring partners. But iron sharpens iron. The only way you're going to get better is by training every single day with big, strong wrestlers that can put you in these dangerous positions. And Cyril Gane, if you look at his embedded, you look at his training footage, these guys he's throwing around look about, 180 to 200 pounds. They don't look like great wrestlers, and I don't think that he's getting the reps in to make himself the elite heavyweight that AJ and a lot of his fans want him to be. And that was clearly exposed on Saturday night. Thanks. And if he fights anybody else with any kind of college wrestling background, it's going to be exposed time and time again. People are going to figure out, hey, take this guy down. That's the path to victory. And that's bad for Cyril Gane. He needs to address that right away.
And Cyril himself saying that he's like lazy when he doesn't have a fight. If you want to get good at wrestling, man, you can't be lazy, man. Like right now, even if he doesn't have a fight, he should be training his wrestling. He should be like working on it, trying to improve. I've read that Khabib invited him to train. Hey, if you want to be serious, man, go for it, man. Mm-hmm. But like you can't. Wrestling is not something you get good at by chance. It's by putting in the hard work. That's how you're gonna get good at wrestling. So. Cyril needs to make some changes, man.
I agree with you, Freddie. And time on the mat is what makes a better fighter. And I agree with Dave as well. Like he needs to reevaluate his camp. I think his camp is great. I think his coach is amazing. He's produced great fighters, Ngannou, Cyril Gane, and other ones that are coming out of Paris. But the thing is that Dave has a strong point because, in MMA, you need to have a strong wrestling base. You need to have a great submission base through jiu-jitsu. The stand-up game, is important. But if you don't have that foundational ground game, which most of the fights are going to end up on the ground, you've got a problem. And you got to train with the best out of out of the elites of heavyweights, light heavyweights, middleweights. I mean, you got some middleweights that wrestle that can take apart like Ngannou and Jones and Cyril Gane. But those guys are the teams that you need to be with. So when you have somebody calling you from Dagestan, and you got Khabib and his team of killers, and he's got heavyweights there that are like, they don't even look like they're human. The thing is that you want to get better, you need to get yourself out there. And that's up to the coach of Cyril Gane to say, you know what, I've got a level to coach. I'm going to be in his corner. But the wrestling game is what's lacking, and I, as a coach, have to make that decision. Either send him out to the Midwest United States, with the military, or any
you don't get him back. You do that, you don't get him back, and it's a business, right? Francis Ngannou left that team. Why did he leave that team? Because he needed to become a complete mixed martial artist. He needed to do it. And again, we don't see a lot of guys from countries like France or Ireland, basically anywhere in Europe that's not Russia, with strong grappling, right? Most of the guys, with the rare exceptions, like a guy like Paul Craig, right, who's Scottish, who's a great jiu-jitsu guy, but I'm talking about wrestling, grinding wrestling. A lot of that, the base, you're either going to go to some guys in Russia or to the United States, right?
Yeah.
If you're in MMA right now. So Francis made the decision. He went to the United States and he never looked back. But Cyril's going to have to come to a decision in his life. Does he want to stay at home? Does he want to stay in France, which is his home? Like his home's Cameroon. France was just a stop on Francis Ngannou's path to the UFC, right? Like Paris was just a stop. True. But for Cyril, that's his home. That's where he's from. That's where he grew up. That's where his family is. That's where he has friends and everything. So does he want to leave his roots and pursue the dream of being the heavyweight champion? Or does he want to stay comfortable and be one of the top heavyweights? Be the guy that, you could beat Tai Tuivasa and you could beat a bunch of guys at heavyweight. You probably won't beat Jon Jones. You probably won't beat Curtis Blades because he'll out-wrestle you. But you'll be one of the top heavyweights for a while and you make some money. Like, he could do that. But it's going to be his decision because I think he's got what it takes if he really steps it up to be the world champion. He's very good. He's very athletic. I don't think he'll be world champion as long as Jon Jones is around. But, after that, nobody's going to touch Jon Jones. Jon Jones is retiring undefeated. All right?
Except for Ngannou, who's talking like a little smack right now. Let's be honest.
Let's go there, man. Jon Jones would beat Ngannou.
Yeah, and Ngannou doesn't want to fight him, man. Look, I know Ngannou wants to help the fighters and all that, but man, he made some ridiculous demands at some point, man. That's just not how the UFC runs their business. And if you want to fight in the UFC, you gotta still play a little bit of their game. And right now, I'm intrigued to see what he's going to end up doing. If he ends up getting one of those big boxing fights where he's going to make $30 million or whatever, great for him. But if he ends up in PFL or whatever, I can't believe that PFL or Bellator is really going to pay him that much more than what the UFC would, I don't know.
Fred, I'm going to tell you, today's comment from Ngannou is almost like getting him a second win to come back to the UFC and say, you know what, I want to take out Jon Jones because there's no bigger fight between Ngannou and Jon Jones right now with the money, with that whole thing that comes with it. Right now, man, I'm telling you, Ngannou
he's going to have to play ball with the UFC.
He's going to play ball. He's going to play ball because if he wanted somebody to
he needs to get that boxing match quick. Otherwise, he's going to have to come crawling back to the UFC because I don't know who else is going to offer him the money he's looking for. Or anywhere close to the money that the UFC was offering.
Well, Dave, let's put it this way. With the fight that's going to take place really soon with Stipe, and to be honest, Stipe, I love Stipe. I love him as a fighter. I like him as a person. He's just an amazing guy. But he looked nervous. Through the fight, man, they were, showing, footage of him. And then when he was talking, he was like, yeah, he wants to fight him. But you could see, he was like, oh, fuck.
You think he knows?
Not good.
You think he knows?
He knows.
He's got to know, right?
He's got. I'm listening.
But it's not at this point. At this point, he can't say, I don't want to fight him. He's got to fight him at this point. He could pull out with an injury or something. But then
it could happen.
But it's a lot of money, man. It's
a lot of money. The thing is, Jon Jones is waiting for him, though. Jon Jones wants to fight him specifically.
He's hungry right now. Sure.
Even if Stipe gets hurt and they can't fight in July or whatever, Jones will be like, cool, I'll wait till he's healthy. He'll wait for Stipe, which is terrible. I think Stipe was down to fight the Jon Jones that fought Dominic Reyes, but I don't know how interested he is in fighting the Jon Jones that fought Cyril Gane. That guy, God,
right
he's
now,
better than ever. He's better than ever. How ridiculous is that?
Well, listen, man, we didn't really see him go the 5 rounds as a heavyweight, and you can say what you want. Listen, I apologize, man.
Anybody else ever finish Cyril Gane? Jon Jones did it in 2 minutes. Anybody else even finish Cyril? Nope. Who's beat him? Francis? Anybody else? Nope. Come on, man. Jon Jones finished him in 2 minutes with a guillotine.
And I think he was getting bored at light heavyweight, if anything. Maybe that's why some of those performances weren't great. Yeah. And that's the only scary part for Jon Jones is he can't get like a lazy or bored where he doesn't train. Like right now, he's hungry. So I believe. And also, if it's getting done in July, it's a quick turnaround, which is great because you don't want him to get off track, man. You want him back in the gym, focusing on Stipe, and he's going to have another great performance. Now, after that, you were saying, Dave, he retires undefeated. Maybe, but he better not get lazy. That's the only thing. I want to keep seeing him hungry like that, where he just wants to destroy his next opponents.
I think it's going to be hungry, but I think he's going to stay hungry by having one more fight that he's really hungry about and then retire, because I don't think there's much else to prove. And who's he really going to fight after this? Who's he really going to fight?
They're not going to fight Ngannou.
Nah, because the UFC is not signing him. If the UFC doesn't fight Francis Ngannou, there's nobody past Stipe for Jon Jones to fight that makes sense. He's not going to fight the next top contender like a Pavlovich or a whoever. It's not worth it for him. These guys don't have a big enough name to be worthy of a fight. Jon Jones is already heavyweight champion. That's why he fought Cyril Gane, because it was for the belt, and Cyril was the #1 contender. So he fought Cyril. He's going to fight Stipe because Stipe is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, UFC heavyweight champ ever. So he wants to beat Stipe, and I think he wants to beat Stipe real bad to show DC how it's done. You see DC's reaction to that fight? Worse than AJ's.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. It's kind of like George St. Pierre coming back knowing that he could beat Bisping. He knew that he could beat Bisping. That's why he came back. If it was anyone else in that division, he would have thought twice. But Bisping was the champ. He knew he could beat him. Jon Jones knows he can beat Stipe, but that's not where the money's going to be. The money's going to be if Ngannou says, you know what, I'm coming back to take my belt, like he said today, and it will happen. The UFC will negotiate something because that is going to be the biggest fight in the heavyweight division in the history of the UFC. And I'm telling you,
it will be. Jon Jones wants that fight. I don't know.
Francis talks a lot, but like I say, it's to him to be a little bit more reasonable.
Listen.
If you could get Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder, go for one of those 3 big boxing fights and make a lot of money. But other than that, man, fucking humble yourself and get a good deal with the UFC, man.
But that's what's exactly going to happen. I think this was the best. But Dave, hear me out on this. I think this was the best timing for Ngannou to step back, bring in Jon Jones, who's the heavyweight champion. You've got Darth Vader there, and everybody's going to want a piece of him. And the thing is that Ngannou stepped away.
I need to know something, AJ. Stop everything.
What?
Who you picking, Jon Jones or Francis Ngannou?
It's going to be a tough one, man.
After I got to see how who would you pick?
It wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me. Look, I got to see how he performs against
This
Stipe.
is the problem. You pick against Jon Jones all the time, and you always lose. Patrick C. Hamilton, who's been a member of the team for 27 months over at join.ringsidereport.net. That's 27 consecutive months. Thank you, Patrick. Subscribing to the channel, supporting the channel as a member. He says, my confidence in AJ has ended. Sticking with Dave and Fred. Because Dave and Fred makes sense.
Your argument about Jon Jones only fighting, have not seen enough makes no sense because everything that you saw from that fight was perfection.
Yep.
So what do you need to see more? You need to see.
I just saw an imperfection.
Make some errors.
Listen, Look, I just saw the worst. I saw the best fight of Jones in the last 3 years, and I saw the worst of Cyril Gane in 3 years. It wasn't enough for me to say how it could have been if it was that dogfight that was expected. You know, look, like I said earlier in the show, Jon Jones perfected that submission, like, you know, better than anyone can. He closed it, and you know what? Cyril Gane tapped, and it was impressive. But I want to see how he does with Stipe. I want to see how that works out, to see if he does the same performance. And I think Jones, and I'm going to tell you right now, Jones will beat Stipe. There's no doubt about it. But I want to see how that goes. I got to see more than that first round of 2 minutes. You know, and I'm going to go with Jones for the win over Stipe. But it depends on the performance, how it ends. Even if he wins, and he wins like decision or something like that, I'd be worried if he goes up against Ngannou. Because Ngannou right now, listen, man, I'm just saying.
Stipe out in the first round. TKO round.
First round.
Yeah.
Did
you see what he just did? Did you see the level?
Yeah, I did see what he did. I saw, man.
Stipe's past his prime a little bit. I love Stipe, but, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Ngannou also, like, you keep saying Ngannou. Ngannou's not a young man. Like, Ngannou better get in the cage soon, if anything, man.
Yeah, he's probably older than Jon Jones. Is he?
How old is Jon Jones?
What do we say? 35? So.
Isn't Ngannou like 37?
No, he's younger than that. What are you talking about?
Younger than that?
Jon Jones is 35. Sure. Francis Ngannou's 36. So he is older.
He's younger than that. He's 1 year younger.
Yeah. I thought he was younger than that.
No, he's older than Jon Jones even. So there's that too. Angelo Contagonis, who's been a member for 25 months. Thank you, Angelo. He says, my confidence in AJ has not waned. So he's still confident in you, AJ. Or maybe he started with low confidence.
Scassere, Angelo, scassere.
I think he probably started with low confidence in you, AJ, and he still has low confidence.
And it just built up.
Yeah, it's just, it hasn't changed. It's not lower. It's just still very low.
Listen, I still love Angelo. I understand. I'll still invite him to my house. You know, he could come and eat some like sausages and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff. But you know what, Angelo, I'm going to tell you this.
Be careful.
It wasn't enough of a fight.
If AJ invites you to his house to eat some sausages, you never know what he might be implying.
You know, kind of like that picture in front of my computer. Freddie knows. But listen, I'm going to tell you something. Dave wasn't part of that. Dave has no clue. But anyways, it's an insight with me and Freddie. But I'm going to tell you something.
What?
Angelo, it wasn't enough. I wasn't overly impressed with the performance of Jon Jones.
You're the only one in the world.
Probably. But I'm going to tell you this. It's because I know Cyril Gane's capabilities.
Yeah,
I was impressed with the way he closed it up. And it was 2 minutes. It wasn't enough of a dogfight for me to say Cyril Gane didn't pick away at his legs like I said he needed to do. Take away that lead leg. And that's where Jones falters. There wasn't enough. He kicked him in the nuts in the beginning. I'll give him that. He did take away that third leg. But that third leg, man, has been used quite a bit lately. And I'll tell you, it didn't faze him. You see how Jones walked away from that? I was like, damn, that's pretty strong, man. He's got.
Is it wrong that I laughed?
He's got a cocaine bat.
Is it wrong that I laugh when somebody shared a meme of saying like, "Hey, Jon Jones embracing his sparring partner"? And
oh my god, I know where you're going. I don't even want to go there. Cyril Gane, 8-2 in the UFC, 11-2 as a professional, 1 decision loss to Francis Ngannou, and 1 submission loss in the first round in 2 minutes and 4 seconds to Jon Jones. Yet AJ still remains unimpressed somehow. Cyril Gane knocked out Tai Tuivasa, knocked out Derek Lewis, knocked out Junior Dos Santos. 3 of the greatest knockout artists in the history of the game got smoked and put on their ass by Cyril Gane, and Jon Jones finished him in 2 minutes. And AJ's not.
Listen, you said something, but it's all KOs, and that was his game. He wasn't able to build up that part of the fight. It was just a bad left that he threw. But Jones ducked under, which was great, and it ended up on the ground. It was a mistake by Cyril Gane to throw that left, man. It just sailed over, man. It was not even. He didn't even set it up. He just threw it, man. Like almost.
See, I don't know
what he wanted to do. It was just.
I want to see Cyril. I want to see Cyril against another guy that could wrestle. Like put him against Pavlovich or
Curtis
whatever
Blades.
right now. Put him against Curtis Blades. Yeah, put him against somebody else that could give him the same type of trouble. Let's see if he's able to go against somebody of lower level than Jon Jones, but with similar skill set.
I don't think he can. I don't
know. That's a good question.
Come on. Jon Jones exposed him.
I know.
His skills were not there. I mean, he should have been able to offer a little bit more defense than that. It was pretty clear that Cyril Gane lacks in the grappling department. And if you look at his UFC record and the guys that he's fought, he's not fighting anybody that wrestled at a collegiate level. He's not fighting any grapplers. He's fighting mostly kickboxers that play his game. That works for him, but he's not fighting a single wrestler in his UFC career. Like I said, Dos Santos, Jairzinho, Volkov, Derek Lewis, Tuivasa. Like, they just throw strikers at Cyril Gane and have nice little kickboxing matches that he wins, but throw him in there against a wrestler, and I think he's going to run into a lot of problems.
And also,
and I don't think it has to be a Jon Jones. I think it could be anybody that can shoot a takedown.
Yeah, because look, if Ngannou out-wrestled him, I'm sorry, but Jon Jones would out-wrestle Ngannou easily. Like, Ngannou, good for him. He spent some time at Extreme Couture to work on his wrestling and all that. But there's a different grappling, wrestling-wise especially, you got to put the hours in, man. You can't just expect to be able to beat a guy like Jon Jones that's been wrestling for 20 years of his life at least. I'm sorry, I don't think Ngannou would be a problem for Jon Jones.
I don't either. And Ngannou didn't show great wrestling in that fight with Cyril Gane. He just showed power and strength. Like he didn't show tremendous technique. Jon Jones' technique was fantastic. Like, he is a grappler. He is a perfectly well-rounded MMA fighter. He is the greatest fighter we've ever seen. And, a lot of talk has been about who's the greatest of all time. Is it GSP? Is it Anderson Silva? Is it Khabib? Is it Demetrius Johnson? It's Jon Jones. And I love GSP, and I love Anderson, and I love all these guys. But you got to look at the body of work, the guys that he's defeated, the Hall of Famers that he's finished, the fact that he's gone undefeated, the fact now that he is a champion in 2 different weight divisions. He dominated the light heavyweight division to the point where no one could stop him. He beat the previous generation, his generation, and the next generation, moved up to heavyweight, and looks like a guy that could probably stay heavyweight champion for as long as he likes. He's been a world champion in the UFC for over 10 years. It's been over a decade of Jon Jones being a champion in the UFC. Nobody stays on top for that long. And not only does he have the longevity, does he have the accolades, does he have the big name opponents, but he's also so far ahead of the pack. We've seen him time and time again against great fighters like Daniel Cormier, Alexander Gustafsson, Shogun Rua, Cyril Gane now, where he makes them look like they suck. He's so much better than the greatest fighters in the world. That's what makes him the best ever. It's not just beating guys. It's not just being champion for a long time. It's how you beat guys and how long you've been able to beat guys and stay so far ahead of the pack. Usually champions stay on top for a couple years. People start to figure out what they do, and the division kind of catches up. Nobody's been able to catch up to Jon Jones. He's so much better. We talk about the levels to the game. Everybody else is playing at like a 75, and Jon Jones is maxed out to 100, and you can't touch him. It's crazy. He's at levels above everybody he's fought. It's crazy. He's the greatest of all time. And AJ doesn't like it, but it's the truth, AJ.
Listen, it's been a tough month for AJ. First it was Jake Paul, and then was to see Jones win, like in impressive fashion. That's why I wanted to see that dogfight. There was a lot of hype for me behind Cyril Gane because I've seen his performance live. I've seen him do what he did. I didn't think Jones was going to be able to do what he did after a 3-year layoff, going into heavyweight. He didn't look that good. And you got to admit that too, Dave. Walking into the octagon, you yourself were a little bit like, oof, Jones doesn't look that great.
They made him take off tape off his foot, so it seemed a little...
Like, yeah, it looked like he was injured before he was walking in. He looked like he had like some kind of injury on his, I think it was his left foot. But all to say is that there was all this leading up, and I'm like, ooh, this doesn't look for Jones. But yet he was able to pull it off. And that's the mystique with Jones. It's too bad he didn't have like a stellar kind of reputation outside of the octagon, because this guy would have been, he is right now considered the greatest of all time. But, it would have been great if he had that persona like a Muhammad Ali kind of thing and whatnot. That's why Khabib came out and wants to have Cyril Gane come and train with his team. Because I don't think he's a big Jon Jones like lover himself, That's the thing with Jones.
I mean, he's a Daniel Cormier friend.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why I say Cyril Gane doesn't need to go to Dagestan. Just go to AKA, man. Try to fucking work with Daniel Cormier and those guys.
True.
Just go wrestle Daniel Cormier every day for a year and tell me your wrestling doesn't get way, way better.
True, absolutely.
It's a good idea. I mean, if he wants to get better, that's the kind of thing he needs to do.
No, Dave, and I agree with you 1,000%. It's not just a great idea; it's a must idea. He must, if he wants to be considered, a top level grappler. A top level MMA fighter in the UFC. He needs to work on that game, and he needs to do that now. And his post-fight interview, when I was listening to him, he wasn't happy. I mean, he's a humble guy. He gave a lot of respect to Jon Jones. There's no doubt about it. But he was pissed. And he realized, I think in the interview, he realized, if I want to be serious, he could walk away, maybe have a couple of more fights, make some good money, and then play soccer for the rest of his life in Paris. But the way he was talking on the post-fight interview, it sounded like he knew it's time. So in the next couple of weeks, if we don't hear any buzz about Cyril Gane, wanting to better his MMA career, he'll never be a champion. Not that I think he could be champion, but if Jon Jones does step away, he has a strong chance to be champion. It won't be like the greatest because Jones beat you, but if Jones walks away within the next year or two, Cyril Gane is still going to be there for many more years from then on. He needs to find a higher level grappling game. He's got to make that decision now. And Ngannou did the right thing. Ngannou's the champion, or former champion. But, I have still a lot of confidence in Cyril Gane, man. I still do. I think it was the shittiest fight of his career. Pat, I apologize because it wasn't the greatest fight. But, Dave is right, man. He's got to change camps. Sorry, Lopez. I like you as a coach, man, but you're not a Cormier. You're not a Dagestanian-like wrestling club.
Well, we made predictions at the beginning of this year on who would be the heavyweight champion at the end of the year. And so far, Fred is doing pretty good because he predicted Jon Jones, AJ predicted Cyril Gane, and I predicted Francis Ngannou, which is kind of half right. I mean, nobody beat him. He just doesn't fight for the promotion. It's not really fair.
Well, Cyril Gane was the interim champion at one point, so I wasn't too bad either, man.
Well, we'll see by the end of the year. I think Jon Jones will be the heavyweight champion, and he'll defeat Stipe Miocic. Looks like it's going to happen in July. But yeah, I think Cyril Gane knows that maybe he was ill-prepared for this fight. Maybe his team didn't get him ready for the things he needed to do, because Jon Jones was very prepared. You saw that he knew exactly what he was going to do. He had a game plan, and he executed it to perfection. Interesting seeing Greg Jackson in his corner speaking of game plans. That guy was the master of the game plan. He would be at every UFC event for a while. If you're an old school MMA fan, Greg Jackson, the guru of mixed martial arts, the famous Jackson Winklejohn gym out in New Mexico, out in Albuquerque. I thought Jon Jones got kicked out of that gym at one point, but maybe they reconciled, and it was very cool to see the great Greg Jackson in his corner, and I'm sure he had something to do with that game plan because he always came up with the great game plans for GSP, for Jon Jones, for Carlos Condit, and so many great fighters, Rashad Evans, Keith Jardine. I mean, they had quite a roster there, in Albuquerque, and I hadn't seen Greg Jackson in a long time, and it was nice to see Greg Jackson there in Jon Jones' corner because it felt old school MMA, you know, because like I said, that gym was so hot at one point that Greg Jackson seemed like he was cornering half the UFC card on some pay-per-views, right? Like you would see him 2 or 3, 4 times on a show. So, and he's disappeared for the most part. Like you never see Greg Jackson anymore when you watch the UFC, right? Like it used to be always Greg Jackson, and now it's like, oh, does he still coach? And now, boom, he's with Jon Jones. So that was cool. That was cool. All right. AJ, another bad night for Jake Paul, your boy. He got surrounded by Floyd Mayweather and a bunch of goons. I don't know if you saw the video.
For real? I didn't see that.
I haven't seen the video.
Oh.
Post it, Dave. Everybody's waiting, man.
Let me see if I could show this to you so you could react to it live. I know TMZ hadn't, but I think other people have. Is it staged?
Because if I'm Floyd Mayweather after that performance from Jake Paul, I'm like, I want part of that easy money.
Okay. Apparently, it was a full altercation. Was that it? Like it really went like hands down. Like, wow.
There's audio too to this thing. Let me get this for you. Let's see if I can get this. This is TMZ Sports. This is Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather outside of a club somewhere or an arena.
Cocaine and Prime.
This might actually be outside of the Jon Jones fight on Saturday.
Yeah, that would make sense.
AJ, when I did that.
It's okay, bud.
Actually be outside of the Jon Jones fight. Hold on. That's not us. Whoa, that's us. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Let me get to you. Let me get back to you here in a second, guys. Hold on. Let me fix this for you. How do we get this video up, AJ? AJ trying to make me put videos up.
Come on, Dave.
Okay, I think I got it now. Here we go. All right.
What's going on? What's up, Floyd? I can have what I want. What you mean with the camera? Oh, you got camera too. So who you supposed to be? I'm just...
So there's Floyd Mayweather right there, right? Woo. There's Mayweather. And you saw Jake Paul, right?
What happened? You're not tough anymore?
See, there's Jake Paul. That's Jake Paul right here.
Since your loss? What happened since your loss? Yo, we gonna bust him up, guys?
I told you before, put that.
Yo, let's bust him up. Where you running, Jake? Where you going since your fight? Since you lost? What's up, Jake? Where you going, Jake? Oh, he's running! He's running! Look at him!
He ran away. You see him run?
Look at the amount of guys that are surrounding Mayweather, man. He's got like an army of goons around him, man.
There's a lot of guys.
Man. Yeah. There's a lot of guys, man.
Jake Paul running, champ. Why is he running?
And I'll tell you what, man. Who is it that's saying, like, should we...
I think he's running because there's about 50 guys chasing him. I think that's why he's running.
Listen, man. Yeah, it was a bit like, you know what? Like, you got like Floyd. 20 guys there of Mayweather, man. If you want to be tough, like, go up to his face and stand toe-to-toe and do like, you know, that's the way you do it. But when you got like 20, 30 guys there, like, you know, and there's some big dudes that are around there. Jake Paul's not stupid. He's like, you know what? I better step away because, look, it could have got messy if Jake Paul had his, like, entourage as well. Who knows what could have happened? Like, you got to remember, man, these guys sometimes, like, they think like dummies. I mean, they're professional athletes. There's a lot of cameras all over the place. Why? Look, maybe it's a part of a setup. Who knows? Maybe they're like, it's a Jake Paul, like, you know, PR stunt. We don't know. But from what that video shows is that Jake Paul probably did the right thing by running away because, man, if that wasn't staged and all it takes one of those goons and, like, you know, some of the devotees to Mayweather,
what
man,
is he supposed to do?
They can fuck him up pretty bad. You got 2 guys, 3 guys jumping you, but when you got 10 guys on top of you, man, you could be anybody. We've seen that many times over, man. It could be a bad night for an individual.
Yeah, but it looks bad running. It looks bad the way he runs away. Right?
Well, man, he has nobody. But he has nobody.
The guys before saying that they want to jump him, fuck them, man. They look awful, man. They look like fucking pussies, man. Jumping a guy alone. Yeah. Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that if you want to talk shit, if you want to talk shit, Freddie, that's what I'm saying. You want to talk shit. He does, man. You just tell your guys step.
And Floyd would kill Jake Paul in a boxing fight. He doesn't need to act this stupid, man. That's I don't know, man. call him out, say you want to box him, make some of that money, but you want to jump him with your boys.
And you know what? Jake was.
There's a lot of them too.
Jake didn't say shit there. He was like,
move.
Yeah, but Jake wasn't saying anything. It almost to me looked like he was sick. It looked like he was about to puke. I'm telling you, dude. Something didn't
I think he was
good,
surprised because they all snuck up on him. There was so many of them, just all of a sudden they just showed up. I don't know if he knew.
Like
what he
in
was
basketball right now, the big story is Ja Morant because it's this young basketball player. He showed a gun in a strip club, and people like Shannon Sharp and all that are like, yo, you don't have to play the tough guy life like that, man. You got a $200 million contract. Why are you playing that? And I would say the exact same thing to Floyd. Like, what the fuck are you doing ganging up on somebody, man? Aren't you supposed to be worth like $500 million? And that's what you're doing? Wow, that's awful, Floyd.
What did this basketball guy do? Because I kind of loosely heard about this, but I don't really know.
Because he was in a strip club and he started doing a TikTok video or whatever, and he was brandishing a gun, which is like against rules, law where he was, because he was in a club in Denver and you're not allowed to consume alcohol with your gun, something like that.
Yeah.
And also it goes against NBA rules. So,
right.
But it's more about like why you want to act like a tough hoodlum showing a gun in a strip club.
Because he's rich. He's drinking, he's at a strip club, and he wants to pretend he's in a rap video, so he's going to pull out the gun.
That's dumb, man. Just like wanting to jump somebody with all your boys, man. That's dumb. That's how you get in stupid shit, man.
Yeah.
This is shit that happens. This is shit that happens to a regular night on Crescent Street here in Montreal back in the days. I mean, when you're at a level of
stupid.
That's why I don't go out. That's why I never leave the studio.
They'll glamorize it, man.
Exactly, man. You guys are at a different level, man. You're professional athletes making so much money that most people will never see. Like, you'll have the lawyers to get you out of jail because you've got the money. Like, why glamorize it, man? And it was just stupid. And I see a comment there from Jake Paul. He's like, oh, probably Mayweather is upset from the time I took his hat. Sure, no problem. But if you want to have a beef, set it up. You're going to get shitloads of pay-per-views. You're going to have 30,000 people in attendance. And people would love to see Jake Paul fighting like Mayweather. And you know what? Give us a show. But don't go to the point where something really happens. One of your goons hits Jake Paul and you got like 25, 30. There could have been even more. According to what I'm seeing, it could have been up to 50 guys there. But let's just say I saw around 20 plus. Man, it doesn't take much.
That Migo guy, don't end up like him.
Exactly. All of a sudden, everybody's going to look at like combat sports again, like hooligans. I mean, it's just, look, you want to fight
for a card game for some stupidness like that.
Doesn't make sense.
Have time
it doesn't make sense, man. Look, Jake Paul did the right thing. I don't care what anybody says. I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, you really are too old for that. I am too, though. I get it. There's no point. You shouldn't be doing that type of stuff. Floyd Mayweather seems like he's too old for that stuff, kind of trying to scare Jake Paul or whatever, but
aren't you worth $500 million or whatever? Come on, man.
But Floyd is, he's not above playing stupid games.
Yeah.
Right? Floyd
Look, you can do stupid games, like when you're leading up to a fight and you hype it up like Conor was doing with Mayweather. That was amazing. Like, it was
if you're hyping a fight, but that's not what this was. This was just kind of an incident.
This is kind of like you ganged up on him. Like, you came out of nowhere. And even the cops were like, oh shit, let's hope this doesn't go down. Because what happens here is that you're putting the cops in a position that if things get out of control, somebody might get shot. And then next thing you know, it could be a
what
really
if one of those guys is armed or whatever, plus alcohol, drugs, and all that.
This is not like this is not like Nate Diaz and his team and Khabib and his team fighting in the hotel. This is something else, because this is a bunch of guys on one guy. It's not two teams fighting each other. It's a bunch of guys possibly just assaulting a man. It's not.
Exactly.
It's not a great situation. I kind of felt bad for Jake Paul, but also it's kind of funny to see Jake Paul run away, because I don't really have a lot of love for Jake Paul either. Like, I think they're both kind of trash. So when they're doing bad things to each other, it's just kind of like, Floyd's trash and haha, run away, Jake Paul. You know?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's funny and all, but like he actually did the smart thing. He did the smart thing that you should do with money or without money. You're in a situation or environment where you're probably going to get your ass kicked and probably killed, and somebody else might get killed, and there's going to be, if no one dies and somebody gets hurt, it's going to be a long, long time in court and people getting sued and all this kind of stuff. Jake did the right thing. Yeah. You run, show up one-on-one now. You built up for this fight. Let's get it on. You wanted to attack me like pussies? Then you know what? Let's get it on. There's going to be a big hype on this. I think a fight will happen, and I think Jake Paul did the right thing.
Floyd's gonna you want to fight? Him.
Yeah.
If you're Jake Paul, you don't want to fight Floyd Mayweather.
Doesn't matter, man. It's good. Listen, but the thing is that there's a reason to fight now. Put two guys
you're
in
playing this all wrong. You don't need a fight. You know, you just you run away, you walk away, you say it's okay, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, Floyd Mayweather wakes up with his prize horse's head in his bed with him, you know? That's what you do. You gotta, that's right. You start doing things to make him think he's going insane, you know? You make him go crazy slowly, you know? You
like with the fish at his doorstep.
You back away, you don't get beat up, but you don't forget, and then you plot and you scheme. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Or is that just me?
No, you got it right, man. Godfather, Part 4, Jake Paul versus the Kingpin, Floyd Mayweather. But listen, man, all to say is...
replace all his clothes with sizes two sizes too small, and then he starts to put everything on, and he's all confused, and he thinks he's a giant, you know?
Today I was saying to myself,
something not right.
Too bad, like, me personally... I kind of liked The Godfather 3. It wasn't that bad. Some people hated it, but I thought it was decent.
Good, man.
But what's unfortunate is that that's where it died. What I say. You know, that franchise, like, if they're able to give us, like, 20 Spider-Mans and Batmans and all that, man, they should be able to continue the Godfather franchise, man. There should be a Godfather 4.
Freddie, take it easy there.
There should be a Godfather 4, 5, 6. We should be up there, like, 17 right now.
Okay, listen, that's cool, but I thought you were going to say that they have to remake The Godfather 1. I'd be like, no way in hell. That's like touching the Bible, man. You don't mess around with the Bible.
Garcia's old now, man. He's still controlling a struggling organization, something. I don't know, man. Do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, if there's any Hollywood like director that needs a script, Freddie, like Fantastic Freddie will be able to help you out. Listen, man, I agree with you, but don't touch 1, 2, or 3. I don't want to see all these remakes of Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, don't remake it. Continue.
Don't remake it, man. Exactly. Continue it. Now they're doing like the Roadhouse. Like they're redoing Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, man. Who can dance better than Patrick Swayze? Nobody. Who can fight like Patrick Swayze? Nobody. Oh yeah, Connor's in there.
They got that Jake Gyllenhaal. They were filming all sorts of stuff for that movie at the UFC last weekend.
Dude, does he look like a real UFC fighter? I don't know, man.
No.
I'm just
He's
kind of
like... He's got the physique, but you know what's missing?
What?
The ears.
Well, not the physique didn't look... It looked kind of...
I didn't notice him having cauliflower ears. Do they make fake cauliflower ears for Hollywood?
Sure,
I don't think they do.
Why not?
I think that's a detail that they miss a lot of times in movies that they make about fighters. They always have these perfect ears, and I'm like, that guy doesn't look like a fighter. No fighter in the UFC has perfect ears.
Who's the guy that won some jiu-jitsu tournaments there? Like he played, I think, in a Batman or something. As a blue belt, man, he won some tournaments recently.
Oh, you're talking about Keanu Reeves.
Get that? No. Get that guy to do the movies. Dave knows
talking
about Batman.
Talking about Batman.
I forget his name though. He's some actor.
Listen, it's just as bad as having Michael Keaton as Batman. Remember that?
Tom Hardy.
Hey, Dave.
Tom Hardy.
Oh, Tom Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy's good, man. He won a few. You're right. Tom Hardy.
Is he in Batman?
Dave. I don't know, but I know him in jiu-jitsu.
I might be mistaking my movies, but yeah. Get that guy. At least he has some legit jiu-jitsu behind him.
All right, guys. Let's do the fight preview here. Let's do some parlay picks. Let's see. Fred, you had a winning parlay last weekend, right?
Yeah.
What did you give us?
I gave you Jon Jones. I gave you Gamrot, and I gave you something else. Shafkat.
There you go.
Oh man, just a little love to Shafkat, man. That was a great performance. And man, I want one of those hats, man. I really do.
Oh, me too.
I haven't gone off from that dream.
Good. Good, because I haven't either. We need to get the wolf skin.
But I'll tell you what, man, I was looking the one Joe Rogan got again, man, and that one is the most beautiful, man. That one was fucking something, man.
Mm-hmm. Did they give
nice,
that hat to him?
Yeah,
I don't know if he gave it to him, man.
Yeah, for sure they're gonna give it to him. It's Joe Rogan, man. Joe gets anything he wants. It's Joe Rogan, man.
Okay. Yeah, what a great performance last weekend there. And Fred gave you a winning parlay. We'll see what we can do. I also said, hey, you might want to look at Alexa Grasso. I think she's got a shot. And
3 Mexican champions right now.
Yeah, you guys were not too keen on the Alexa Grasso pick, but I thought Valentina was looking like she was slowing down. And I'll tell you this much, if they have a rematch, which I think they will, it's going to be an immediate rematch here with Valentina, I'm picking Grasso again. And I think Grasso will be an underdog this next time, but I think she's going to win.
I'm not sure she'll be an underdog.
No?
No, I don't think so.
I'm with you. I think Grasso's going to win that one, and I don't think it's similar to when Amanda lost to Juliana. I think this time, like, Grasso looked good, man. She had some good moments, and that submission was very, very beautiful, man. Yeah. Props to her, man. And I
think Grasso was winning the fight too.
Oh yeah, exactly. She looks happy. She seems to have a nice personality and all that. Brings a smile, new flavor to the division, and that's good, man. Look, I love Valentina. She might be the GOAT of female MMA. She's in the discussion, but it's good to see some new blood, man.
I think you got to say Amanda Nunes is the greatest ever.
Yeah, because she defeated her twice.
And Ronda and Cyborg,
there's quite a few.
But Valentina's great, man. Also, man,
best flyweight ever for sure.
Agreed. But I'm going to tell you something. As I said on Thursday, I had a feeling that Valentina was going to lose at some point this year. I was sure that she was probably going to squeak through Grasso. I didn't expect Grasso to fight that well, and her boxing was unbelievable. She wasn't nervous at all. She was confident throughout that whole fight, and the way she ended that fight with that submission was holy shit. It was such a tight submission that half her face was red and the other part was white from lack of blood. It was incredible. If you can ever see a picture, find it on Google or whatnot, that is a scary way to win. But I was like, okay, Valentina's going to get through Grasso, but she's probably going to lose this year against Erin Blanchfield. She is going to lose against Manon Fierro. And I said, Grasso, or Santos is still there in the picture, super dangerous. Man, that division is going to be crazy now. It's going to be crazy. I think Valentina's days are obviously done. But man, hats off to Grasso, because she came in there and I'm like, ooh, I'm looking forward to seeing her fight either Manon Fierro or Erin Blanchfield, because that's going to be a crazy, crazy fight either.
They're going to have to wait because
that's going to be crazy.
Valentina's going to be next.
Yeah, but you know what? She could be next, but you know what? I think it's going to even be a more devastating punishment. I think Valentina's days are done, and you can see that in this fight. She looked like she was one step behind everything. Everything that she was doing was just hesitation, and she was worried. And you know what? That is nothing.
The level just catches up. Also, Valentina is older. Maybe she's slowed down a bit. But I think this is more about the evolution of women's MMA. Let's remember how Ronda used to dominate everybody, and everybody just got better over time to a point where Ronda lost, and then other people are losing, other big champions, whether it's Joanna, Amanda. They all felt like they were unbeatable at some point. But hey, the divisions all get bigger and stronger, so props to all of them getting better, man. It's good for the sport.
Yep.
Happens to everybody, and it just shows you why, again, Jon Jones is the greatest ever, because he just keeps getting better and no one can touch him. He stays far ahead of the pack. All right, Petr Yan. Oof. He was champion, couldn't stay ahead of the pack, fell to Aljamain Sterling in a close fight. Then in his last fight, fell to Sean O'Malley, which, I don't know. Petr Yan coming in here against Merab Dvalishvili. Yan minus 267, the favorite. Dvalishvili plus 210, the underdog. It is the main event. It's in Vegas at the Apex on Saturday. I think Saturday afternoon. Right? What time is this show at?
For real?
It's earlier, yeah. It's an earlier fight.
Right? It's like a 3 p.m. start or something. I'll tell you here in a second. 3 p.m. for the prelims, and the main card is, I would assume, later.
I mean, Merab's been on a good streak, man, right now.
3 p.m. is the prelims, and 6 p.m. Eastern time is the main card. Yeah, sorry, Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, Merab's been on a good streak, man. He won, his last 8 fights? And I don't know, man, that last fight from Peter Yan, I remember thinking, oh, he won against O'Malley. But then when I started rethinking and looking at the highlights, I didn't watch the whole fight. I'm like, oh, maybe O'Malley did win that fight after all. So I don't know. Peter Yan needs to come out with a statement if he wants to be back in the discussion for the title of that division. So I'm gonna pick Peter Yan. But I'm a little nervous, man. Merab's been fighting well for many fights, man. 8 wins in a row. That's a very good streak, and there's some good opponents on there. So, but I'm going to go with Peter Yan for the win. He's not on my parlay.
Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, Merab, one thing for sure is that he's just like an offensive takedown artist. That's what he's going to do. He's just going to go and try to take down and control the fight and win. The only problem is that Peter Yan has a 90% takedown defense. You know, this guy has precision striking. His kicks are devastating. You know, so if you're going to look at the stats, Merab, all offensive wrestling. Peter Yan, 90% takedown defense, and he's grappled everyone you can imagine. I'm with Freddie. I was going back and forth on this, and then I'm like, you know what? Statistically, Peter Yan has what it takes to win this fight, and he is just one relentless fighter. Sometimes he makes a mistake. We've seen that, that cost him the fight. But overall, man, this guy's a machine. I'm going with Peter Yan.
Yep, I'm going with Peter Yan too. I think he is just a step above Merab Dvalishvili. I think his striking is better, and I think he's going to give Dvalishvili a lot of problems standing up. I think, the takedown defense is going to be there for Petr Yan, and the stand-up fighting, I think Yan will have an advantage, and he'll get the win. He may even get the finish, but I'm siding with this one, probably going the distance. Right now, Bet99 odds have Petr Yan by decision plus 110 as the most likely outcome of all the outcomes, followed by Yan by knockout, Dvalishvili by decision, and then some pretty high odds. Yan by submission plus 1100. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the decision makes a lot of sense here. So I'm going to go with Petr Yan in our main event. Our co-main event is Alexander Volkov against Alexander Romanov. Interesting fight. Romanov is kind of new to the top levels of the heavyweight division. This will be a test for him against Volkov, who's fought some of the best at heavyweight, coming off a knockout win over Jairzinho Rozenstruik in his last fight. Romanov coming off a decision loss to Marcin Tybura, his first loss in his pro career, 16-1. Alexander Romanov. Odds makers like Romanov minus 158, Volkov plus 128, the underdog. I'm going to go with the underdog and the more experienced Alexander Volkov, who's going to have a hell of a reach advantage here over his opponents. Volkov, 6'7", with an 80-inch reach advantage compared to Romanov, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach. So that's a big difference. Volkov is a very long, rangy fighter. I like Volkov to win by decision in 3 rounds. I think he's got enough experience to figure out the tricks he needs to pull off to take 2 out of the 3 rounds here. So I'm going with Volkov for the win. Slight underdog, like I said, plus 128. So not too bad there. What do you guys think about the co-main event, Fred?
Yeah, I got Volkov also. I like the word you used, experience. Feels like Volkov's been in more big fights, and maybe that helps him out. But it's a tight fight. It could go either way, but I'm going to pick Volkov also. Decision makes sense. He's long, lanky. He's able to hit his jab and all that, so I'm gonna go with Volkov.
Yeah, this is like one of those fights where you're like, I'm not sure, but if you're going to look at experience, the guy's been around since 2016. You know, he has an 8-4 record. It's not like the most impressive, but when you look at overall, he's beaten Alistair Overeem. He beat Fabrizio Verdum. He beat Rosenstruck. You know, what impresses me is when he beat Alistair Overeem. You know, Volkov has that size, man, 6'7", 80-inch reach. He has everything it takes. Romanov is powerful, man, a stocky fighter, but I think it's going to be the range that's going to beat him. I think Volkov beats Romanov by decision. I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's going to go to distance, but I think he's going to squeak out that win.
Next, we've got Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann. It was our main event a couple weeks ago. It got canceled, right? Remember that on the fight night? It got canceled because Krylov got sick. They're fighting again. This 215 pounds of catch weight because I guess they didn't want to cut to 205 again. Spann plus 142, the underdog. Krylov minus 175, the favorite. I forget who you guys picked last time. I'm going with Spann. And I'm going with Spann Krylov with a submission. All right? Spann by submission in this one. A guillotine choke. I'm going specific. Real specific. Spann with the guillotine. Fred likes Krylov. AJ, break the tie.
And I still have him.
All right.
Look, Spann, man, when he destroyed my my buddy Dominic Reyes, man, and it was a scary win. It's going to be tough. I went with Spann back then, and I'm going to go with him again. I think he's devastating. He has a lot of power behind that punch, and I think he's going to take out the win. Probably knock out Krylov, like he did to Dominic Reyes.
Spann has 21 professional victories. 9 of them are by guillotine choke. Crazy, 9 of 21 wins by guillotine.
It's impressive.
And Krylov, I believe, has been choked in a lot of his losses. He's lost 6 times by submission. He's 29-9, 6 of his 9 losses by submission. So I'm going to go with Ryan Spann by submission in that one. So we'll see what happens.
And we don't know what happened. And we don't know what really happened to Krylov with the illness. Like, what was it? Like, we don't know. Like, nothing's been said. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling maybe it was like, I don't know, maybe he was cutting weight. There was something like, you know, that really made him ill. Not to fight. It has to be pretty serious. Is it going to be like, will it be a hindrance into this fight? You know, I don't know. But to me, it's a point to look at. And, you know, I think Spann is prepared, man. He was prepared for that fight, and he's prepared for this fight. Krylov had to come off of that illness and recover. So how good is he? We'll see.
I'm going with the Spann, man. AJ is too. And I'm going to give you my parlay right now for UFC Vegas 71. It's a 4-fight parlay with a big-time payoff. Let's go. Let's see what we can do this weekend. Said Nurmagomedov. You got to bet on a guy named Nurmagomedov. Minus 260 over Jonathan Martinez. We've got Alexander Volkov plus 128. We're throwing him on the parlay over Romanov. We've got Petr Yan minus 267 over Merab Dvalishvili. And we're going with Superman Ryan Spann plus 142 over Nikita Krylov. $20 on that 4-fight parlay gets you $215.61 over at bet99.com. That is not too bad. $20 gets you over 200 on this 4-fight parlay. It's a Team Dave parlay for the Vegas fight card this weekend. Nurmagomedov, Volkov, Yan, and Spann. It's the Yan and Spann connection. Freddie, what do you got this weekend? You had a winning parlay last weekend. Let's see what you got.
You like my Yan and Spann? Yan or Spann, so
Yan and Spann connection.
Well, I like
good, right?
I like the combo. Yeah, it's a little bit like shake and bake. It's good, but it's not.
Yan and Spann.
I don't have either guy on my parlay. I got Krylov because I still believe in him, and I think those extra 10 pounds won't hurt him, man. He's a big guy. And I got Said Nurmagomedov because, like you said, he's a Nurmagomedov, man. You got to pick him. Yeah. And I got Alexander Volkov. That's my parlay, 3-fight parlay. Krylov, Nurmagomedov, Volkov. Man, it's the Russian connection. Or actually, Krylov is Ukrainian, right?
I don't know where he's from. Is he? Krylov.
I think he is.
Minus 175, Nurmagomedov minus 260, and Volkov plus 128. $20 gets you 101.47 over at bet99.com. Use that promo code Ringside when you sign up. At bet99.com, $20 with the Team Fred parlay gets you over 100 on Volkov, Nurmagomedov, and Krylov. AJ, what kind of crazy parlay do you have for us this week? How many fights? 5, 6?
Listen, man, I'm going with 6, man, and I'm going to redeem myself because of the Cyril Gane disappointment.
All right,
Patrick, man, I'm going to make you money. I'm going to go with Peter Yan. I think Peter Yan's going to pull it off. I'm going to go with Volkov for the win. Then I'm going to go with Ryan Spann. I think Ryan Spann is going to knock out Krylov. Then I'm going to go with Ricardo Ramos for the win on this. And then for sure, man, there's no way you go against the Dagestanian Saeed. Saeed is going to, hands down, that's the lock. And then I'm going to go with, this is going to be a tough one, but very dangerous, man. I've seen this guy fight, Vitor Petrino. I'm going to go with him for the win.
Okay.
7-0. Dangerous guy, man.
I like Lucas.
6 fight, man.
Lucas Bresky over Carl Williams. Williams minus 234, the favorite. Bresky plus 185. I'm going to put a solo bet on Bresky as well. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
Here's AJ's parlay. It's a 6-fight parlay. Pure bananas. He's got Petr Yan. He's got Alexander Volkov. He's got Ryan Spann. He's got Ricardo Ramos. He's got Saeed Nurmagomedov. And he's got Vitor Petrino. $20 will get you 524.01. Wow. Big payout.
Show me the bacon.
Big payout. 6-fight parlay. Vitor, Saeed, Ramos, Spann, Volkov, and Yan. There you go. That's a Team AJ parlay. It's quite a parlay, AJ. Quite a parlay. Patrick C. Hamilton dropping a super chat, 777. He says, I have a yen for Yan too. We are unanimous with Petr Yan, right? Chat. So Patrick going to go with Petr Yan. We've all got Petr Yan winning in that main event coming up on Saturday.
As long as he doesn't get disqualified.
A good fight. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully not. Speaking of good fights, some fights that we have announced. Aljamain Sterling, no stranger to Petr Yan, looks like he's going to be fighting Henry Cejudo in the main event for the bantamweight title of UFC 288 on May 6th in New Jersey. That fight seems like it's nearly done. It's been rumored for a while. Makes sense to do it in New Jersey. Sterling is from the New York area. Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush also likely for that card, probably the co-main event. It's a good lightweight fight there. Oliveira's first fight since the loss to Islam. And Kron Gracie coming back for the first time in 3 years to the UFC to take on Montreal fighter Charles Air Jourdain at UFC 288. So that's a great fight for Charles. I think that's a really good matchup for Charles. And fun to see Kron Gracie, of course, the son of the legendary Hickson Gracie, Kron. Very cool to see him and Charles fight in the UFC. So some cool fights announced for UFC 288 coming up in May. So we have that to look forward to. We also have UFC 286 to look forward to next weekend. A special afternoon UFC pay-per-view card. Next Saturday afternoon, we'll be doing the watch-along. And it will be a big fight card. UFC 286. Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. It's going down in London, England. That's why it's in the afternoon. Edwards defending that welterweight title that he won from Usman. This is the rematch. Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev in the co-main event. So a big pay-per-view coming out of London next weekend. And I want to give you the start time on that one. I don't think Fred is going to be joining us.
I think it's at 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Next weekend. I don't have a start time. I don't know. I think you're right. I think it is 3 p.m., but I'm not 100%. We'll confirm next week when we do the preview here on the show. And Fred might be taking a little bit of time off to recover from surgery that he's having next weekend. So I want to wish Fred luck on his knee surgery next weekend.
You'll be in with the in crowd. It's the in thing to do now. Listen,
Fred is getting breast implants. and he's getting them put in his knees, not in his chest.
Nice.
It's a weird move.
Could be exciting.
Give me some cushion.
Yeah, that might help, actually.
Neon Belly will be completely like transformed.
Oh, it'll be fun.
Listen, Dave.
Yeah.
Just quickly, we just to give a shout out to Marc-André Barriot, which we didn't do. Like another Quebecer who came in with an impressive win, man. You know, not to forget him. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him on the watch along on Saturday. Well, I think we're wrapping up anyway. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to Patrick C. Hamilton. You're the super chat leader tonight. And sorry about these technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on with our internet connection, some sort of deal. But we'll be back. Fred, good luck to you.
Pay the bills, dude.
I do. All right. Fred, we'll see you. AJ, we'll see you.
Fred is going to be coming back as a champ, man.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. This has been Ringside Report MMA. I'll be back here tomorrow night with Johnny North at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for Wrestling Uncensored here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.